this week you're going to have regional Australians who are expected to head to Parliament to protest the imposition of renewables on largely private tracts of land. Now, we know if the government wants to achieve this lofty goal, 82% of renewables by 2030, which, by the way, they won't do, but they're pushing towards it anyway. They say, we've got to go harder. They've got to install 22,000 solar panels a day, 40 large wind turbines a month. They've got to build 10,000 plus kilometres of new transmission lines, and most of this has to go through prime agricultural land. Now, we've seen the protests over in France over the last week and before Christmas as well, against all the stuff that's being pushed upon them over there. We've seen a little bit of it here, but we don't tend to get all that angry and excited about things in Australia. I think it's about time they took their fight to the steps of Parliament House and said, how about it? Because without farmers, this country is stuffed.
Absolutely. Whoever controls the food controls the world. I can't remember, who said that quote, but it is so true. And that is why the government want to have as much control over these things as possible, because they get to then control us. But look, we're very different culturally speaking in Australia to Europe. And what we're seeing with the farmers, like the Dutch farmers, we're seeing it with the French farmers, we're seeing it with Germany, is incredible. I think Australians, especially farmers, like I know, speaking to my neighbours and friends in the trade, we're all feeling the same thing. But I think the way that we present that practically is very different to European culture. Like I said this on Bolt's show last week when he asked me a similar question. We have like maybe 1 or 2 protests, and then Aussies get protest fatigue. That's just how we are. I don't know why
Not all
exactly.
of them, unfortunately.
But, you know, it's pretty scary what they're actually planning on doing to us. And basically what they want to do is straight up theft. I can't plant a palm tree in a certain spot because that might affect my neighbour. Oh, but no, that's fine. The government can plant a field of solar things right in my private land. It's theft. The government are thieving from farmers, and if you're not a farmer, don't think this won't affect you, because it will. What happens on the farm will translate and transgress into the general public. Protect your farmers, you protect your family.
I completely agree. Look, I hope there's a lot of people there tomorrow, because, you know, one thing that many of the people sitting inside the building who decide what turns up on your 6 p.m. news is that they will not want to cover it, right? They will do their best to turn around and say, oh, it's only 4 trucks, don't worry about it, right?
Exactly.
It's only 6 people, don't worry about it. Now, we've seen in the past when the media decides to cover a protest and take all the speeches live, they can do it if they want to. They've got the technology to do it. But very importantly with this group, and we've seen locals offer incredible resistance to things like what was happening around Ballarat. But then at the state election, the very area that was being affected by this returned all of their Labor MPs. Yeah. We see, so this has to become an election issue in a place like Queensland. It has to become a local government issue in local government elections. And I also think that the group needs to get around and get some people that are good, effective spokespeople that are the ones who the rest of the media can go to. Because as Joe will know, at a certain time at night when you're searching around for a story, you know there'll be certain people that'll answer the phone or not. You want these people to be the ones that'll answer the phone to get more coverage for their story, because what is happening is a disgrace. But again, I just couldn't believe. I mean, when I went to Ballarat, you see the, you know, forgive my language, but this is what the sign says: "Piss off, AusNet," literally sort of written into the ground. Yet the MPs got returned with a swing to them.
I think that it's one of these issues that a small number of people care about incredibly passionately.
So they should. It's their land.
Of course they should. That's right. But most people, you know, in any given election, most people won't actually be giant landholders who are directly affected by this. So maybe they don't understand it. Maybe they think it doesn't affect them. But I think there's also I don't know, a risk, or not really a risk, but I remember doing the Bush Summit in Tamworth when this issue was just absolutely white hot. But there were also plenty of farmers who were quite happy to have transmission lines on their land and get if they thought they were getting fair compensation for it, or if they had perhaps some input into where they went, so it wasn't just going willy-nilly, and if the company was seen to be genuinely involved in the community. So if the company came in and said, right, we're going to pay for all your footy club needs and everything, we're going to come in, we're going to help out, we're going to do this and that, we'll fix that up for you.
Then you have scenarios.
But those people had a choice.
I think
That's for the landholder.
Let me just say one thing quickly on this.
Before we get to the break.
Yeah, just quickly, is that courage is contagious and they want you to feel like you're alone. They don't want you to feel like people are on your side. So farmers and people, courage is contagious. Everybody needs to get behind it and be more aware of it.
Yeah, and be aware that this is worldwide for a reason.
It is.
It happened in the Netherlands. It's happening in Germany. It's happening in France. It's happening in Ireland. Pay attention, because in each of those countries, the war looks different for a different reason, but it's all centred around climate communism. Remember when Stalin said, oh, the farmers are the enemy of the people, so the state could seize the land, millions starved to death, but oh well, that is exactly what these governments doing. They're saying it's for the good of the people and it's got to happen. Put it anywhere else. Why are you putting it on prime agricultural land? And it is simply not a coincidence that this is happening the Western world over.
Tuesday at Parliament House, you know where to be if you want to have your voice heard.